moved. And then Kristen, you were going to introduce the new operations supervisor.
Yes, I just thought I would do this at the beginning of the meeting since you have a new face that you might be seeing on the screen. But last month I mentioned that we were in the process of hiring a new operations supervisor who is replacing Darren Canaparoli after he was with the city for over 20 years. So I'm pleased to introduce Harry to you. Harry, give us a little wave. Harry Bannister is here. And Harry, how long have you been with the city now? He was promoted from a previous position.
I've been with the city for just a little over 12 years now.
Great. Well, we're really excited to have you here. We haven't been able to consistently have somebody from Public Works join us, so I think it's going to be a great addition to the team. So I just wanted to introduce you and welcome you and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Excellent. So let's go to citizen comments. I didn't receive any. Did you guys receive any that you wanted to submit, Kristen? Okay. So that's quick and easy. Now we kind of start getting into some of the heavier stuff. So is Jason on with us? He can give us an update on the Cedar Creek Trail.
So I just received a note from Jason as we were logging onto the meeting that he had a conflict come up at home. And had 3 little ones that he was trying to watch at the same time. So he just had a few bulleted items that he asked me to share with the group, but he said the good news is that the project is currently out for construction bid and was assigned a February 18th bid opening date. So it's out to bid and we plan on opening the bids on February 18th. The project webpage is in the process of being updated to reflect the final bid opening date of 2/18. Originally, it was supposed to be this week, which was 2/4 or February 4th. I was thinking they were going to be open this week, but it did get pushed out just a little bit. Jason will be back next month to discuss the bid results and the construction schedule. So a little bit of a delay in getting the bids open. But not significant. I'm hoping it shouldn't have a big impact on timing or anything like that, but we will know more on March 1st.
Great, thank you.
Now we just all have to keep our fingers crossed that we receive some good bids and that they're in the ballpark of where we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I don't want to trim it down anymore. We already made several cuts along the way, and including a whole section along Oregon going out that way. So
keep your fingers crossed, and we'll know more real soon.
Awesome, thank you. I see Joy joined us. Thanks for joining us, Joy. I don't know if it's too late to add her to the list of those attending. So especially since we're pretty early on, we haven't really done much.
Yep, no problem.
Other than approve minutes. So great. So let's jump on to the Parks Master Plan update, which is, I think, the main focus.
Yeah, we have Lauren here with us again this evening, and wanted to give you a plan on the Parks Master Plan update. Everybody received a plan or should have received a plan delivered to their home last week. The first thing, and I did send an email out about this yesterday, but the first thing to recognize is that some of the pages got off somehow. So those pages that weren't laying well, the maps where it was double-sided instead of side-by-side, and that will all be corrected. But really, Lauren's here for, I don't want to say hopefully the last time, because we enjoy having you here, but just in a sense that we're making good progress. So I'll go ahead and turn it on over to her. And Lauren, you're muted if you're speaking. We can't, and I can't see you since this screen is up, so I'm not sure if you're speaking.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Great. And can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Great. It's a very short presentation. Thanks for having me back. It's hard to believe it's been, 2 months since the December meeting. And Since then, there's been a council work session and a couple more updates from that. And so I just wanted to highlight what those are just very quickly so that you can focus on those additions. So very, very efficient council work session, the first meeting of the month in January. A few more trails additions. That was a big topic. I know when we discussed this in December and earlier in the fall. And so a few more additions coming out of the council work session, some updates to Figure 6, an existing trails map, the addition of the TSP build-out map as Figure 8 in the trails strategies portion of the plan. And Erica is actually working on getting a higher quality map. For now, we put in just the whole build-out map, and so the quality is so-so. I know Councilor Griffin, you commented on that. Erica's looking to get the original file. We just weren't able to do it before we published it for this meeting. And the other thing is, in addition to the pedestrian overcrossing, the undercrossing is added to the project list. So some more attention to trails in addition to the feedback provided by all of you. And then, let's see. The project list, just a couple updates, nothing on the first page, which is really more about the existing stuff. But on the second page, we added some cost assumptions around Sherwood's investment in a small addition to the Center for the Arts and the YMCA, knowing that you own the building, so there's likely going to be some kind of capital contribution, and then the two undercrossing and the pedestrian and bike bridge, the TSP costs associated with that. So what that does is it bumps up the project total, but also accounts for some of these pretty key infrastructure projects. So that's it, pretty light touch and some good additions. And where we would go from here then, hopefully you'd take an action tonight, then moving on to Planning Commission and then back to City Council. And so that's it on the changes since last time. And I'll pause there and turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Lauren. Did anybody have any further updates that you kind of caught? I saw Russell had several that went out. Were there any added ones that you guys had found that we want to add maybe as just like one last update as we look to hopefully approve with notes?
I did find two, but I sent those to Kristen, so she's aware of it.
Okay. Yeah, I found a couple and they were just little things, and I can email Kristen as well. Yeah, I think like little format or typo type things, I think it's worth just emailing. But yeah, if nobody else found anything, I think we've gone through this enough to get to a point where I think we can stamp our approval on it. But I'd love to hear if anybody has any thoughts as to any hesitancy you would have on approving what we have presented to us.
Just one quick question. How is the cost figure for the underpass developed?
That came out of the TSP. So that's an existing capital project. So we didn't generate that. That came from other city materials, and planning provided that cost. So it should be synced up.
So the planning commission came up with that figure?
Erica's on the line, and maybe she can speak to it, but it's part of the TSP is the transportation system plan. And Erica can maybe speak to it, but it was part of a figure that we had a while ago. And I know we wanted to just make sure that we at least had something in there instead of just being for the overpass.
Yeah, and so that that number, Bob Galati, our city engineer, he has developed all of those numbers through the transportation system plan process. So we have numbers, funding numbers for all of our different transportation projects within the city. So we can plan for funding for those projects in the future.
I think that's great. I was surprised that the underpass was a lot less expensive than the overpass, unless I read that wrong.
Nope, you haven't read that wrong. It shows it as being under currently.
Yeah.
But we will be updating those numbers here in the next 2 years as we update our TSP.
Yeah. No, it just seems to me like digging a tunnel under the highway would be more expensive than just building a bridge over it, but maybe that's wrong.
I have one general question. So
yeah, go ahead, John.
So this is for Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Hey, I just want to let you know that last Thursday I had an opportunity to watch the City of Hillsborough with their all-inclusive playground meeting, and they had 3 options, which were pretty cool. I know it's still in conceptual stage, but I think it was really great to kind of see another city in action, how they were incorporating universal playground into the city park. And so my question to you, Lauren, is based on the number we have here for regarding our universally accessible destination play area at $1,750,000. Are we kind of looking similar to what was proposed in the city of Hillsborough, or is just kind of a rounded number in kind of a general structure that you would see maybe in other cities that are, that have already been built?
So actually both. So so that was designed for to capture a cost that's at the scale of what Hillsborough is looking at. So it's a destination universally accessible playground. And actually Melissa and Christina, who are working on that project and who just had a playground open up in Forest Grove called Anna and Abby's Yard. They weighed in a little bit on the process that they thought would work, and we looked at costs from playgrounds of that scale. The kind of scale of that process, the idea that it would be in an existing site, that's what those costs are based on, and it would allow you to do something pretty phenomenal, I think.
Great. Well, thank you.
Lauren, could I ask that you minimize the presentation just so that we can see people's faces?
Sure, I thought I stopped sharing. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It disappeared from my screen, so I didn't know I was still doing it.
Any other comments?
I have a quick one I'd like to weigh in if I can. Am I allowed to speak, Kristen? I can't
Absolutely. Please do.
First, again, I want to apologize to Lauren and Kristen and Erica. But it's a great plan. And when we get some of those little kinks, kind of ironed out, I think it's going to be awesome. As I mentioned to Erica and Kristen when I sent them my pretty lengthy list of moment last week, almost none of my comments were about content. I think the plan is good. I think the content is solid. We do have some extra things in there, and it's important that we add some of those aspirational goals, projects we might not get to in the city, but if it's not written in an actually officially adopted plan by the city council, then it's nearly impossible to get funding for it. So not that we're going to build everything in the plan, but we need to have it in the plan in case we do end up a pot of money just pops down from federal heaven and drops into the city of Sherwood. Now we have a plan. It's on the list, and that's where we're headed. So I just really want to thank Lauren and MIG for the great work that they do on I don't know why, but on my phone, I still have some pictures of the first day they came to visit. And we went and visited all of the parks, and that's when Kristen fell into the water, and we had such a great time that day. And I remember their comment again and again and again is like, wow, you guys have some great spaces, some really great parks. This is not normal for a city your size. And I just felt really proud that we did. And so I think this plan will help continue that concept. Let's take what we have and make it better. Let's plan for new and really have an eye on. I love the fact that John mentioned, that all-inclusive presentation, and then that, that Lauren mentioned that Anna and Abby's yard. I'm going to check that out for sure. That is certainly something that, we might want to be thinking about in the future for a future park, is something that is all-inclusive, maybe destination, maybe Sherwood West. We have a lot of things in front of us, but I think the plan helps us get there. And I really appreciate staff's patience and Lauren's patience and MIG's patience through all this. So great job, really. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Russell.
And I do want to mention that we'll continue to make little tweaks, as we find either errors or little adjustments to the map to make things more clear as it moves forward to Planning Commission and until it gets to City Council. So if you do see little edits like that, you're going to recommend the overall content of the plan. If we need to make little tweaks, we can do that. So it doesn't have to be perfect at this moment. And if you see things, please continue to send them in. We want to get it as close to perfect as we can by the time it's adopted at City Council.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I'll second Russell's comment I think the content is great. I even love the format, especially having looked through some examples early on when we were trying to look through options, and then we chose going through with MIG, and I love how it's laid out, how it looks, and I think it's very clear understanding for us as we kind of go through and understanding how to make decisions as a board. So I really appreciate the work that's gone into this. So both from staff, MIG, and even from the board and everybody's input. So with that said, I appreciate, Kristen, you're mentioning, okay, there is possibility for if we do find little tweaks, we still have the opportunity to do that after tonight. So I do think I would like to just go ahead and move to approve the master plan, Parks master plan, as proposed to us in its condition, with the opportunity to, of course, find little things to edit here and there. So if we can get a second and we can take a vote.
I'll go ahead and second it.
All right, thank you, John. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Woohoo! Well, we have passed the master plan. This is a big, momentous occasion. I've been on the board for several years, and it's really exciting to have kind of basically a fresh new guideline coming up for us, once it's approved through City Council and everything, for us to form our decisions off of. So I'm really excited. So let's go to the next item on the agenda.
If I
Oh,
could
yeah,
really,
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody as well. I appreciate this has we've been working on this, really working on going out to bid, and then the whole project going on a couple of years now, or a good year and a half. So thank you so much to everybody. Erica, is there anything else that you need from us to prep for Planning Commission? Is there any wording or anything, or are we meeting everything that you need to move it forward to planning?
Yes. So I have
Okay.
everything that I need tonight to move forward with planning. Just to let you know, it is scheduled for a public hearing on the 23rd of this month. So the sooner, if you find any edits, the better. But Planning Commission, what they do is they just make a recommendation to council, and we have a public hearing scheduled with City Council on March 16th to formally adopt the plan. So the first hearing would be March 16th, and the second hearing would be in early April.
Okay. Thank you.
I was going to say too, Kristen, with Russell's comments earlier, if it wasn't public comment or public information already, now it's official that you had your spill in the water. So we've got it on record for all to know.
Slipped. I don't know if I really have water. A lot of mud was involved.
If anybody questions it, it's on
every
YouTube.
So often. I'm surprised you didn't grab the camera at that moment.
Should have. I didn't.
Well, I'm sad you weren't streaming at the moment. We could have actually had the true
That's
action
right.
on.
I was just trying to, reiterate the need to improve that pathway down there and
Right.
access. Yeah.
Well, speaking of slipping and sliding, the next item on the agenda is flooding of the pathway at Stella Olsen Park, something I'm very familiar with as that's right near my house.
So it was asked at the last meeting, as you all know, we had a citizen comment at the last meeting who shared some information about concerns of the flooding of the pathway down at Stella Olsen. So this is something that we know is a concern for several days, sometimes slightly more throughout the year, and something that we're taking a look at. And with Harry being here, if we have any specific questions, we can sure ask him. But I believe last night I heard, and Harry, please feel free to chime in. We're looking at some options, but quite frankly, we need to take a look at what those options might cost. If we need to divert the path up to a higher area, it could be quite costly. So we need to take a look at how many days out of the year potentially that it is a problem and decide if it's worth it. But Harry, do you have anything to add to that, or did I kind of hit the high notes?
No, you hit it right. Hit it with all the high notes. We still have to get more information on that, on either relocating up on the hill or building it up. We don't know the cost, so we're still in the process of looking at that.
So was one of the options, I imagine, just building like a concrete, like kind of a byway to help keep it from coming onto the walkway, and maybe like a sump pump underneath or something?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I think that they had already put some drainage in there, and it's just failed over time potentially, or is only going to do so much. So the other option would really have to be the fix would be relocating that portion of the trail, I believe, or raising it somehow. Is that correct, Harry? I mean, your understanding of what they're kind of looking at?
Yeah, that is. And the hard part is the location of elevation where that trail is, it actually sits below the water level. So we all know when we get high water, if you're below it, it's going to flood. So that's just the way it was designed at the time. And like Kristen said, this doesn't happen all the time, just when we get heavy rains, right, where the creek can't keep up. So we're just trying to find solutions, whether with construction or maybe just letting patrons know at high water signs, just so they know, so they don't walk all the way to that point. Maybe more communication, that aspect too, depending on the cost of what it is to relocate or fix the issue.
Does it fit in within the sort of the long-term plan for Stella Olsen Park? Like I know there are changes that are coming, potentially coming with the whole park overall. Does this fit in with that?
I don't recall this being addressed specifically in the updated Stella Olsen master plan. All of the additional work was really going to be up further on the hillside to potentially
Right.
have some terrace seating.
Yeah.
But and if anything, they were talking about potentially extending the area where we have tents or booths set up for music on the green, so that it's not quite as much of a drop off. But they weren't. There was no recommendations in there to realign the existing pathways or to do anything there. The other addition would be the backstage area that we had talked about down on the island, so that if there are performances or plays down there, they actually have a backstage and have backstage access on that smaller island portion.
I mean, there really only is one, or one section that the that the email that came in last month was complaining about, that one low section. Is there any way to divert the water from that one little section there, so that the path is complete there?
It's
or
on
like
my
Eric
area of
said, building a
expertise.
retaining wall, right? I mean, that's what Eric was getting at, right? Even without the pump, but even a retaining wall should help a little, maybe.
Well, I will say, I know there's definitely restrictions in what you can build and construct down there as well. You're in the wetlands and you're in the floodplain. So even to add the poles for the stage cover at Stella Olsen Park, we had to go through a lengthy permitting process. And that wasn't even extending the footbed by more than about a foot or two. So it's a long process once you start constructing in that area. And again, something that we would really need to think through, is it worth the cost, or do we look at potentially, putting up signs and closing that portion of the path for 2 weeks out of the year, or whatever it is? We don't believe that there's any necessarily additional risk to the city by having that pathway open at this point. The city is covered by recreational immunity. If somebody was to slip and fall in the mud, just as they did if they were playing on playground equipment or playing soccer, we don't believe that there's an additional risk.
But should there be a warning sign at the other end of the boardwalk?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah, to say that because when you walk all the way down, you get to the point where you either walking through water or you're walking up on that hill, right? So should, at the beginning of the boardwalk, in times of heavy rain, should there be a sign that says, look, you're going to encounter water, right? Is that a possibility there?
That would be an easy informational fix, or way to get some information out there to people. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, if it became hazardous, we would close it. But I know that was raised before, so that's why I was just addressing that issue or concern.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to hear update. Oh, I heard somebody else jumping in.
I just have two sort of questions, I guess. One is, would it be cheaper to extend the wooden boardwalk over that section instead of trying to build something up? And then the other question I have would, right before you hit that flooded area, there is sort of a path that goes straight up into the top of the parking lot. Would it be good just to make stairs there, so it gives you the out, but it also gives people the ability to walk from the parking lot down to get to the boardwalk without coming down that other hill, in a more of a stairs format than a slope?
That's a good question.
I think my comment would be it would have to do with the ADA compliance. So if it was an alternate path, that would be okay. But if those stairs are used as a direct access for all pedestrians, then that would fall into the ADA compliance. So it would probably something that they would have to look into. Is that correct, Harry?
Yes, that is very correct. If that we do make that the pathway, then we have to apply by ADA standards, and the grading and issues of that we'll have to look into that, but I can tell you it's going to be a lot.
We'd probably have to end up doing something like the switchbacks of the path that's over on the other side by Washington Street. That used to just be yeah.
But if it was an alternate path, it would be okay.
No, we'll have to take a look at it.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that the issue could be the current path. If you're talking about the path that goes up to that parking lot, I'm sure that's not in compliance. We wouldn't be able to build that at that steep.
I see.
Today. And so then once you start adding stairs, I think we'd actually need to correct that path probably as well once we started construction there. Does that make sense, Harry?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep you all posted. We'll continue to work through potential solutions. And I know that Craig's at least investigating or asking his team to investigate what are some of the costs, what are some of the options so that we can make a educated decision by all means and potentially even put something in the budget and let it get kicked around. But we just wanted to at least provide you an update and say we don't have an easy, quick solution, but we'll come back with more information once we have it.
Great. Thank you, guys. So let's go on to council updates from Russell.
Thanks, Eric. So as you were talking about those different pathways and the stage and the covers, I remember first time we did a musical down there, it was Once on This Island, and there was no cover. Remember that, Kristen? And that was that like 13, 14, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say 14 or 15 at least. Yeah.
It was a long time. And so when we finally got, that cover, it was awesome. But, I've personally been in the park in the summer for like 12, 13 of those summers, doing all kinds of musicals. And Kristen's right. There's no backstage. You step off that pad and you're like, one foot's in the swamp, one foot's under the pine tree. It's pretty musical or pretty funny back there. But anyway, last time I was in a play was My Fair Lady, and I was the drunk father. I was Eliza's father, the drunk Alfred Doolittle. So it was okay for me to stagger around backstage. It was completely fine. So, but yeah, I would love it. I mean, at some point it would be. I think Stella Olsen is a jewel waiting to shine, and there's so many cool things. But Kristen's not exaggerating. The red tape just to get, those pylons in the ground so we put this cover over the stage was like, I think the president at the time had to wave his wand of approval or something. It was a pretty big deal. So, all right, council updates. So last time we met was on the 19th. We had a work session about urban renewal areas, and the city is in the process. At some point, the current urban renewal district is going to fade away and dissolve, and 2 new urban renewal districts are being created. And this is a way for the city to take advantage of taxation districts, prior to monies. Anyway, it's kind of complicated, and David at the city, our finance director, can explain it if anybody has any question. But so the city council is embarking on making some changes, creating a couple of new urban renewal district areas, and then putting together maybe a project list of some kinds of things. In the past, for example, this is maybe for some of your time, the beautification project downtown, where we got the blue light poles instead of the black light poles, but we got that whole curbless, area downtown, Sherwood, Old Town, so we could have, that great festival environment and lots of projects. The turf field, the high school came out of that, and so I mean, Kristen probably knows all of these by heart, but there's lots of projects the city is able to do through these urban renewal districts, which is pretty common. I think the city of Wilsonville has like a dozen of them. They're all over the place. Anyway, so that was a couple of weeks ago. Also, we passed a resolution for the city manager to execute a contract for a consultant to help us begin the process of a relook at Sherwood West. Yeah, that big area that's outside of the urban growth boundary, but in the, reserve area. It's just outside. It's surrounding the new high school. And I was on I think I was on Planning Commission back then. The original team as we developed sort of a conceptual plan for Sherwood West. And it's potentially some of that, a lot of it's going to change. We need to relook at it because we had envisioned at the time maybe a couple of small to medium schools being located out there. And now we have this 80-acre campus right in the middle of it. And that really forces us to take a relook at that whole area, which we are required to do before it's ever brought into, the UGB and then eventually into the city boundaries. So right now we're just making sure we have a plan when and if that will eventually happen at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we have to have a plan. So we have a grant from Metro. It's like $130,000 or something like that. And Eric is all over this. So this will be a lot of fun. That'll be starting up in the next like a month or two with committees and stuff. We also approved a planned urban development, a PUD called Denali Summit. It's over on the east side of Sherwood. Between Murdoch Road and the slough, the refuge land, all the watery land over there, which is kind of nice. It was a PUD allows us to ask, it allows the developer to ask for some considerations with things like setbacks and angles of streets and, just a little tweak here, a little tweak there so that their development fits comfortably on the land. And so we spent quite a bit of time with the developer. I'm sure they don't want to ever come back, but they were great about being flexible. And when you have a PUD, it is within the jurisdiction's right to ask for certain things in exchange for what the developer is asking. We would like to change the setback in some of the yards. We would like to, et cetera. So anyway, that's nice. That's still moving ahead. There's still development within the city limits. Let's see. So tomorrow night, we have just standard resolutions. We're going to renew our towing IGA with the county. I'm sure you're all fascinated by that. We have the mayor has approved the new delegation assignments, the liaison assignments to all of the boards and commissions by the city council members. And I know that Erica and Kristen were hoping for somebody different, but unfortunately it's going to be me once again with the Parks Board. And I had to fight for it because everybody wants to come to the Parks Board. So it'll be me again for at least another year. Wait, did Eric just leave the meeting? Where'd he go? I'm just kidding. I'm
clapping. I'm clapping over here. That's exciting, Russell.
I would fight all of my other counselors. I would leg wrestle and arm wrestle all of them. We also have, as a council, we have a goal setting session coming up on the 20th. So prior to that, hopefully we'll have a work session and we're going to review, how did we do with our goals from last year? We have a consultant coming in to help us. It was originally called a council setting goal session retreat. No, we're not going anywhere. We're going to the Arts Center. Thank you, Arts Center. And we're going to be all appropriately distance from each other, and we'll crank the AC up and we'll all have our masks on, and then we'll attempt to communicate to each other from 40 feet away. So we're going to have a goal session, and that will help us decide kind of where the focus will be for council, for the rest of this year. So that's coming up on the 20th. And let's see, then also we have tomorrow night, they're scheduled, Erica, shut yours, a sign code work session. My personal preference, I don't speak for the council, is I don't want to tinker with the sign code right now. It's not a great time. We're not quite where small businesses need to be, and we don't want to make anything restrictive. So probably that's going to get kicked down the road. It's kind of a cleanup thing and some clarifications of different kinds of signs and whatnot. Let's see. And coming up on the 16th of this month, We will have Craig Sheldon and Chief Growth are going to update us on the city's emergency plan, all different aspects of whenever something happens, it's those two. They are absolutely right there. They're on the phone. They're communicating all the time. We also have a joint work session with the Planning Commission, and we're going to talk about the Brookman area refinement of that area south of Sherwood. Recently, Erica spearheaded an adjustment or a change, an update to the where the road goes through there. We're going to continue that discussion tomorrow night. And then the mayor wants to talk about pedestrian crosswalks in the city. He's not completely certain he's happy with our current. He has some ideas. So we're going to have on the 16th a work session and talk about, is there a way to improve our pedestrian crosswalks? I'm not sure exactly what that is, but currently he's the current president of the League of Oregon Cities, and he talks to like all of the mayors from all of the cities all over the state all the time. So he is just soaking in all of this information, and he's visiting some of those, virtually. And so we're going to have that discussion tomorrow night. That's what's coming up. It's not busy, but it's still kind of busy. Then we have the comp plan is also going along, and we have the parks plan coming up, and still, dealing with COVID, and about 90% of the, well, at least for the city hall, 90%, I bet 95% of the city staff is probably still not, actually, oh, I just lost my screen. Hold on, I know you're all there. You can probably see me, but I touched something, so now I can't see. Oh, there you go, you're back. So Kristen, because you haven't been in the building since March, right?
Not during regular business hours.
Yeah. Sneak in after hours, right? That's what.
Yeah, I've been working at home, and I sneak in at times and grab stuff. But yeah. Or I've met occasionally if we've had like an outdoor thing to do, but haven't been in the office regularly working.
Yeah. So that's it for council. If anybody has any questions, I will answer anything to the best of my limited ability. That's it. All right.
No
Aaron?
one. You were all information, and what? Did I hear somebody else? Is that Brian?
Yeah, just a quick question. Any idea when the library might open up again?
I have no idea, but that falls under.
So, yeah, I wish that I could give you a date. I can tell you that they have a plan in place for a phased reopening when they're able to do that. Meaning they'll probably start off by letting either small groups or by appointment only to come in and utilize the computers or some of the services. Right now, with Washington County still being in the extreme category, the public facilities themselves are supposed to be closed in the office space as much as we can and encourage people to work from home. That being said, library staff is still making sure that books are circulating and people are able to come and pick up their holds. But yeah, as for general hours, I mean, 6 months ago, I would have said, oh yeah, September or October,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think obviously this has all gone on much longer than we anticipated. And it's an interesting space to try to control numbers coming in and out with the multiple exits. And we're working along with WCCLS as part of the cooperative, since Sherwood's part of the WCCLS cooperative, and trying to make sure that, we all open in a reasonable fashion and coordinate our efforts as well. So that'll be another portion that we'll need to think about.
Yeah, I do miss the library. That's one of the things I've been thinking about recently, is that I just like, and I know that they're open and you can order books online, but I do miss like walking and browsing, seeing what's in there.
Yes.
Russell, can you speak, I don't know if you can or not, because I don't know if it's a council issue or if it was, I think it was Tim Rosner that was doing it, but the article that was in the paper about the ice arena.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and
Boy,
if that's
I wish I could speak more about that. I've talked to, Tim about that extensively. He has a daughter that ice skates, so he's sort of, he has a personal connection, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. The whole thing is heartbreaking. So I know that I don't know where that has gone, if it had any effect. I mean, I don't think anything has changed yet, but things don't get changed unless citizens comment, and I think I read the letter, I read the comments. There's like 40 additional letters attached that went off to the governor, and I read all of that. And I think, I know it's different. I mean, hopefully Pat Allen's not listening in tonight. If I can go to Walmart, with like a whole bunch of people in there, maybe there's a safe way to get skaters on the ice, but it's not my expertise. But I certainly empathize with all those parents. Yeah.
Yeah, I just know there's a lot of people that would be really sad if it was gone forever.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, Russell. We should set up Walmart inside the ice rink and we can just go around and get our groceries.
Okay, if that takes off, I had the idea first. If it doesn't take off, it's Eric's idea. So I'm just saying. Yeah. Is it not complicated? I mean, just day-to-day stuff. Brian's 100% correct. I miss walking through the library. Usually it's on the way to Sesame Donuts, but I do walk through the library sometimes. And I miss that. I miss going to the movie theater. I miss my feet sticking to the floor and the seat next to me smelling like buttered popcorn and the kid behind me kicking my chair. Well, I don't miss that, but I do miss, it wasn't the same when they released Wonder Woman. I was like, it's like, it's not the same thing. So, and that's just one thing. There's so many other things about life, just getting with friends and hanging out. And yeah, I look forward to the day when, it's not going to be back to normal because I think we've passed that, but at least we'll.
So I thought I had seen this and I just pulled it up to double check, but Sherwood Ice Arena is opening for limited skating sessions starting the 1st. So
Awesome.
Today. So you have to register, and I think they're real limited. I thought I had seen someplace else, it's like 6 people at a time or something pretty small.
Oh, yeah,
and you have to register for a smaller session, but
Right.
It looks like the doors are open and they're trying to do something. So that's great.
Good. No, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, I think they fell under that same category as I think it was gyms and dance studios.
Yeah.
6.
I did see that the Y just got an email tonight saying that they were opening starting tomorrow with reservations too, which is great.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Good. Thank you.
Is the Y also limited to 6, being a gym?
So I haven't dug terribly deep into all of it, but I believe it's per 500 square feet. So I believe that, and Harry's nodding, so he might have something to add to it. But I think that they can take different sections of the Y and allow a certain number in that area. Harry, have you been involved in that?
Very, very little, but I've been talking with Martin there at the Y, and it is exactly what we said, 500 square foot, 6 people. So we looked at the square footage of the building, and they're looking at maybe 6. They could have 6 groups of 6 spread throughout the building, and that's including the pool, the gymnasium, the teen center, and the weight room, and of course their walking track. So they're trying to see where they could put those 6 groups to keep the social distancing at a proper distance.
Wow.
Great, thank you.
That's good to know. Great. Well, thank you everybody for your time tonight. I think we got a lot done. Big thing it was shorter than I think some of our other meetings have been, but passing that master parks plan is a huge, huge deal.
So Eric, if I could just interrupt one more minute.
Yeah, go for it.
I put on the agenda another place for a parks maintenance report, and I just wanted, I wasn't sure if Harry had anything else. I didn't know if Craig asked you to pass on any other updates. Oftentimes I put that as a placeholder on the agenda, but we have not been doing that lately. So I just wanted to touch base before we sign off and make sure you didn't have anything else to share, Harry.
No, I'm new in the position, so the crew's getting to know me a little bit more. I'm getting to know the crew a little bit more. But no, we're trying to go as forward as we can so we don't go backwards. I know we're working with PST right now to get our synthetic fields that we do still have as a city. We got the field house deep cleaned and disinfected last Friday. So that field is decompacted. It's been disinfected. And we are on the list with PST for the next two, when we have 2 good days of clear weather, that the Snyder baseball and soccer field would be deep cleaned and disinfected as well. So we're just trying to move on with our parks to keep them open and so the patrons can use them.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Harry. And congratulations again. That's exciting to be in that position. So we're excited to see you flourish in that and kind of see what comes from that as well. So with that, thank you everybody for your time tonight. And we will go ahead and put a pin in it for next month as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya. Bye.